Now, the Speaker's re-election should be a shoo-in. By convention, the main parties don't contest his seat, in this case Buckingham, home of the former Tory MP John Bercow. The Conservative leader has sent Speaker Bercow a personal message of support. But a defiant Lord Tebbit has told this programme that local Tories, contrary to David Cameron's instructions, should be free to support and campaign for whosoever they want, even if that means backing UKIP, as Max Cotton now reports.
The office of Speaker, the voice of authority in Parliament. It's a terribly important job. You need to be above the cackling debate.
Order! Order! Order!
Mr. Speaker cannot afford to lose his head, although that has happened, literally.
This year marks a rather peculiar anniversary in the history of that office. In August 1510, 500 years ago, not one but two speakers were beheaded. Now, I'm not suggesting that the current Mr. Speaker is in that kind of trouble, but here in his Buckingham constituency, he's going to have to campaign rather more vigorously than usual.
Traditionally, the Speaker stands unopposed, but this time John Bercow will have to defend his Buckingham seat. The Speaker is politically neutral, he has no party, and is specifically barred from expressing any views on policy. So how is he to campaign at all?
I will talk about what I've done, the causes I've championed, the things that are dear to my heart, the issues that are relevant to the constituency, and make it absolutely clear where I am on all of those matters, where I stand, where I pitch my tent, how I can help people. So there's no question of standing for election.
Can you say where you stand?
I'm sorry,
Mr. Speaker. Can you say where you stand? Can you say where you stand on whether or not troops should come out of Afghanistan? You can't say that.
I'm not going to anticipate now exactly what's going to be in my election.
But you can't say where you stand.
I will be taking a very clear position on the issues that affect my constituency.
And what a constituency it is. At the last election, this was one of the safest Tory seats in the country. This time, the Conservatives, Labour and the Lib Dems are not fielding candidates. But there will be a real contest. Two Conservative independents are standing against Bercow, but by far the best-known challenger is UKIP's Nigel Farage. Is he an opportunist?
This is an opportunity, a political opportunity. Here we have a situation where people cannot vote for the next Prime Minister of this country. Therefore, they can start to vote directly on the personalities on that ballot paper, and they can express a view on what kind of politics they want. If that is opportunism, I'm not going to apologise for it.
The local paper is buzzing. A sitting Speaker challenged by one of politics' most colourful figures. Well, it's great copy. It would be putting it mildly to say that David Cameron does not want UKIP to win what would be a spectacular victory. But opinions in the local Conservative Party are more mixed, and they're under pressure to back Bercow.
What happened at the Buckingham Conservative Association early on, there was a meeting that was held that was to tell people that they had to back John Bercow, they had to support him publicly. If they didn't want to support John Bercow, then they just had to keep quiet. And I'm aware that they've been told that their membership could be suspended if they were
kicked out?
They could be kicked out, yeah.
I've spoken to Conservative Central Office who've made it perfectly clear to me that any Conservative activist who campaigns for someone other than the Speaker will face consequences.
Does he own his own house?
Lord Tebbit was party chairman under Mrs Thatcher. He does have a view on this.
I don't think it's any business of the Conservative Party to instruct even its activists and members in who they should vote for in that sense.
Or campaign for.
Or indeed campaign for. Mr Bercow is not a Conservative candidate.
Is your advice to Conservative members in Buckingham to go out and campaign for whoever they want to?
That would be my view. There is no obligation upon Conservatives to support Mr Bercow. None whatsoever.
But why wouldn't Conservative members want to support Speaker Bercow? The pugnacious young Bercow was known as son of Tebbit.
But we can only win with Margaret Thatcher as leader and Norman Tebbit as party chairman.
But today he's married to a Labour candidate and too left-wing for the blood of many Tories.
I remain a friend of John's, and I have been for 20-odd years.
He was cast in your mould, Lord Tebbit, wasn't he?
He did cast himself in my mould, indeed, but he's been reworked in recent years. I don't think he would really be able to describe himself as a Conservative anymore, even were he not the Speaker.
There is no denying that I mellowed over the years from being somebody well to the right of the Conservative Party. I moved somewhat towards the centre, though within the Conservative Party. And with some people, that provokes criticism or even hostility. I think most fair-minded people would say it's an odd politician who stays in exactly the same place on everything.
What would you do if you were a voter in Buckingham? Who would you vote for?
I would have to take a deep breath, consider it, and decide, in the light of all the circumstances, whose views came closest to mine, who I thought would be the closest to a Conservative Member of Parliament, and I would make that decision.
There's a lot of people watching this programme who think that that decision would mean you'd vote for Nigel Farage.
Well, it might.
Day. We were told that...
But Nigel Farage was perhaps too strident when he addressed the new president of the EU, Mr Van Rompuy, in these terms.
You know, really, you have the charisma of a damp rag and the appearance of a low-grade bank clerk.
I asked the Speaker of the House of Commons what he thought of this outburst. He equivocated, but then Mr Bercow stopped equivocating.
Nobody in Europe had ever heard of you.
I believe that people want their politicians to behave in a grown-up way, to have strong views, but to express themselves constructively and with courtesy. Simple, rabid, personal abuse, frankly, shouldn't have a place in parliamentary politics. It is low grade, it is unworthy.
Nigel Farage, and I know he won't mind if I tell you this, is no stranger to the inside of one of these. But this week in the Bucks Herald, the Speaker accused unnamed opponents of treating the campaign as a glorified pub crawl.
I have said that I will, during the campaign, make a promise that I'll campaign on every licensed premises in the constituency, which means going around having a drink and meeting people. Firstly, because I enjoy doing it, and secondly, it is actually a very good way to find out what people are really saying and thinking. So for him to make this comment, it's kind of a sneaky, backbiting way of operating. I don't work like that. I stab people in the front.
The Speaker's seat is normally a bit of a shoo-in. On the ballot paper, it just says, Mr. Speaker, seeking re-election. He doesn't have a political party. But John Bercow has the backing of all three major political parties. So if you want to challenge him and win, whoever you are, you've got your work cut out.